future-proofing your career really looks like understanding what the future could start to look like and making early moves, because early moves really can make a huge difference down the line. Part of this is I made this thing for a presentation a while ago called the 2040 jobs list. It's just my interpretation. There are tons of ways that this could break, and it could absolutely be the case that none of these jobs actually exist in 2040. But we're going to dive into that. It's there to give you the concepts of what might actually exist in 2040 and how to kind of think about what 2040 could look like. So this is the 2040 jobs list. Like I said, I came up with this list. It's not meant to be a perfect list. If you have adjustments to it, please tell me. I want to refine this and cut this into something where we can look at it and say, yeah, that's probably going to be a thing in 2040, or no, that's probably not going to be around in 2040. That doesn't make any sense. But one of the key themes here that I found interesting is it's humans doing human jobs that humans are really uniquely capable of, and robots doing robot jobs that robots are uniquely positioned for. And then you'll see the themes of things that I'm thinking of down on the bottom here, like things that build human community. I think that's a big theme of human jobs that we're going to have. So things like the care economy, elder care, healthcare, and childcare, those are all going to have human aspects that humans are going to be involved in. Things like growing community support groups, maybe a community event planner or a community leader. I think those are definitely going to be around. I think that's a really important one that we really need, because if you think of your community now, how connected are you with your neighbor? But if you go out into the future, we have a little bit more time and we have more humans able to kind of focus on how they want to build the world out. Maybe we can actually think about making our neighborhoods better, getting to know our neighbors better, and things like that. And that's kind of where this community idea comes from.
So you asked if we had any input or anything to share. First of all, I think your list is starting off pretty well. And statistically, I can tell you that, elder care, healthcare are on the uptick. We have an aging population. That is a huge, huge growth profit center and service. I think we're going to see the childcare sector start to decline, quality increase, volume decrease because of the birth rate, but it's going to be critically important to us. What if you take your scenario that automation, AI, robotics are going to give us more time to support and engage ourselves in our community? It may also provide us more time to care for our own children. That shift or that understanding of what society is going to want next is critically important. If I was going to refine this, and interestingly enough, there's an outlier that I might add, and it got jump started due to the pandemic, and it's just continued its growth, and that's pet care. Whether it's doggy daycare, whether it's a veterinarian, whatever it might be, the pet scene in the United States right now is significantly greater than it was prior to 2020.
Absolutely. That's spot on. I think you're right about that. So then we've got sports. There's human coaching. I think there's going to be an interesting play here where there's both robot coaching, so like an AI that kind of feeds you the statistical analysis of how you could improve. And then there's the human coach focused more on the human aspects of the player. Think like a Ted Lasso type character that comes in and really works on the human elements of the team. Then you have athletes. I think we're always going to be pushing the bounds of what can humans do? What are the bounds of human ability? So I think that's going to be common. Then robo sports. So something that I think is a little more niche, definitely a lot more sci-fi, but having robots compete with robots to see the ability level of robots. So I think that's a whole other category as well.
I think what you're talking here is it takes what we've experienced in growth in the video game sector and puts it into an element that you can touch and feel versus just watch. As we continue to grow the list, maybe the things to build human community, maybe robo sports goes to a different side of the page because it does seem less human. But I think
the thing
there's an evolution
around.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
However, I think one of the interesting parts of that is it could also be humans controlling robots, like humans wearing a VR headset and a suit or something like that. And then they do sports that are new sports that can be done with a robot. Like think drone racing is a great example here, where people are racing drones and they're controlling the drones and going at high speeds. It's still pushing human ability, but it's pushing human ability plus robots. You see a similar thing with Formula One and other things like that too.
Thanks for clarifying.
And then so art, human painting and human drawing, a lot of people think that AI, because it can create these art pieces, that means that there's not really a space for human painting and drawing and things like that. But I think that that just doesn't really make that much sense when you look at the art world. There's a lot of context behind art that drives the value of it. For example, there's this one art piece that's literally a banana duct taped to a wall, and that has value. Any of us could have made the banana duct taped to the wall, but I think that sold for like a maybe $1 million or something like that. It sold for a lot. So art can have value even if it's easy to generate it or make it.
All right. I would agree. I think, art and creativity, there is so many people in our society, in our world, that for whatever reason, creativity and art has been squashed down because maybe it's not considered the most productive or valued use of time. And I probably came from that generation in some respects, but I totally shifted and understand the value of creativity and expression through art.
And then we've got entertainment. I think live music, live speaking, live comedy, all of those things, especially being done live, there would be a great way to record them and all kinds of ways to actually pump those out when they're not live, and kind of grow the distribution afterward. But I think there's also still going to be that demand for live events, travel, new countries, new experiences. I mean, might even have new planets or whatever space travel ends up being. But those are all very possible things. I think people are still going to want to go new places. Adventure, those would be things like extreme sports. I mentioned my dad being a raft guide. I don't see AI taking that anytime soon. So I think that's going to be around. You could be a guide for any number of adventure sports, some type of tour for like a dangerous location, things like that. And then VR experiences actually might be a really interesting thing. So kind of creating a place where maybe people join you virtually, like you're a guide and you hike to Mount Everest, but people join you virtually along the way to experience it.
I like that in regards to the fact that it's very creative, but it's leveraging the technology and allowing those that maybe can't function in a dangerous location to still experience it.
Exactly. And then we call this a friend today, but I think that there's a real value add that friends have. And so I think there might actually be something there in terms of a way that evolves as kind of a human component of just having human support, human advice, and human connection, and just someone who is there to facilitate and do all those things with you. It may not be a paid position. It may just be something that we do more in 2040. But I think that that's definitely something that's going to come out a lot more in 2040.
Thinking outside of the box here, Alec, specifically, do you think AI could replace your friend when you talk about support, advice, and connection?
I mean, that's kind of the thing is a lot of people think that the AI could do that, but I think it's not a human. And that's going to be a big challenge for that argument is that it's still not a human. And I think humans really do crave hanging out with humans, even if on paper or basically talking to it. Like you might have a conversation with AI a lot. Like you might be talking to the AI model frequently, but you still have human to human connection that you want to have often.
Sounds good. Your next section of the list really intrigues me. I'll let you continue.
Yeah. So this is kind of things that build human knowledge. So this has to do with maintenance. So robotic maintenance, even if we have all these autonomous systems and all these robots, there's still going to probably need to be humans that work on them. There will probably be robots that work hand in hand with those humans, but trying to solve those problems, I think, is going to be really key. And doing system checks as well. Like I said, some of this will be automated, some of this probably won't. Tech specialist, new systems, better robots, new technology, kind of those people on the forefront of advancing those. I think that's definitely going to be the thing. Researchers, so scientific advancement, experiment planning, and results evaluation. I think humans will be very involved in that, even if they don't do the actual experiment themselves, doing the evaluation of them or watching the experiment so that they're checking for those different error points or things like that, things that might skew the data. And then learning, child development, purpose finding, and lifelong learning. So I think learning is really interesting here because we've traditionally thought of it as career preparation, but I think it can really shift from career preparation over into lifelong learning. So you don't just go learn to prep for your career, and you may not just go to a university to prep for your career. You might go to a university at multiple points in your life to learn, retrain, and build that knowledge throughout your life.
That would really shake up the current model of higher education for sure.
It would. I mean, it changes it from a lot of 20-year-olds to maybe it's a lot different. In addition to that, it will be interesting to see what schools do with technology. I've talked with a couple people about this, but basically, do they go all in on technology and they have technology throughout their entire system, or do they focus more on what the human can do without the technology and then have it where it's like just what the human can do, no tech included. It's like the exoskeleton example. You train without the exoskeleton, and then when you have the exoskeleton, you're that much stronger. That way your muscles don't atrophy. So it's that type of learning versus training with all the technology. So I think
Yeah.
that would be another interesting educational shift.
All right.
Then we've got entrepreneurs. So new businesses, business growth, and business buying. I think there will be people making those decisions. And what gets really interesting about the entrepreneur here is they might be assembling more of a system rather than hiring a lot of employees. It might be more of how do I build this as a system for my company? What robots, what automations, what systems do I need in place, rather than how many people do I need to hire? And I think there will be a little bit of both here. They'll need humans for certain things, and they'll need technology for specific things. But I think there's an interesting split there.
I have to agree. One things that we've noticed also that since 2020 is an uptick in entrepreneurship, an uptick in the small business. We used to say the mom and pop businesses, and now there's so many businesses thriving with young people leveraging technology and doing things that we thought that just large corporations would do for us.
And then we've got the innovators. So this is business growth, new tech applications, and product improvements. Basically what Annovation does. And then investors, so trend research, capital allocation, AI trade evaluation, probably not doing things on the short term, probably very much a long-term horizon there. But for that final capital allocation saying, okay, we're really going to go into this position and say, we believe in this, that's probably not going to be done by the AI. That's probably going to have some human input and a lot of research that goes into it.
Yeah, I think the ability to do scenario analysis and overall long-term evaluations will be enhanced based on the technology that we have today.
And then the last one's the human leader. So that's a lot of the team motivation, team alignment, and the AI decision analysis. So you're looking at things that the AI might have said it wants to do, or things that might have been done for kind of the artificial leadership side of things, the AI leadership side of things. And then there's kind of the human leadership side of things. So very similar to kind of that coaching metaphor in sports. There's the human coach and there's the AI coach. I think you're going to see a very similar thing in business where you have the AI business leader and the human business leader.
You know, that's so interesting of leveraging AI and technology. I just heard this week that Major League Baseball is evaluating electronic ways of determining balls and strikes rather than the human eye of an umpire. And they've been doing this in the tennis world in regards to balls being in and out for a number of years. But in this particular case, that would be very, very interesting. There'd be no arguments anymore. I don't know. That would kind of like no one be running up and arguing their point.
Mm-hmm.
But technology, sure, that can take care of it, right?
Well, and there's an interesting piece there, which is like, how accurate do we want these tools to be? For example, in soccer right now, there's effectively the offsides system. I think there was a goal that was overturned by someone's toe was caught in the offsides camera. The athlete doesn't know that with that level of precision. Like they can't really be that aware of it.
And the person running the line with the flag that calls it or doesn't call it can't be that precise, right?
Exactly. It's just in the video replay that we can actually be that precise. So I think it's an interesting case where maybe we add a buffer to these systems, and then you have to operate within the buffer.
All right. I think you're spot on.